one, two, on the Blue Line, the podcast hosted by Phil and Chad. My name is Phil Bernardi, my partner.
Chad Van Dersen.
Thanks for joining us again, folks. Well, it's been crazy and wacky week in the NHL, and surely December 1st and 2nd had some good matchups too.
It really did.
But our biggest news is the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the newest expansion team in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, it should be great for the city of Las Vegas. There are a lot of hockey fans out there. I have a buddy telling me that, a lot of people from all over go over there, and, they'll, even if the Golden Knights aren't going to be that great, you're definitely going to be able to go see your team or from your city. And, I think it's going to be really good. It's a good idea for the NHL.
Yeah, it appeals touristically, where, as you said, you can go in and see your favorite team play.
There's lots of money over there.
Yeah, and you can go and have a good time in Vegas. And, they have been waiting for a professional sports team there for a while. They have University of Las Vegas, UNLV, the Running Rebels. But they, were finally looking for the professional sports team, and they got it. And lo and behold, it happens to be hockey, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And it's going to be taking place in the T-Mobile Arena.
Yeah, I actually got a glimpse of it outside. I was in the car, right? But at the same time, I got to see it, and it's a really, really nice structured, and it's gonna be really nice. I can't wait to see the interior of it.
Well, that's really cool, man, and that it's really neat that they have their owner Bill Foley. He took the name basically from Army's Black Knights, but he used he ran into a few trademark issues along the way. But I do like the name Golden Knights. Now their general manager George McPhee is someone we're not too fond of.
The Martin Ebrard trade?
Well, he used to be the general manager for the Washington Capitals. Ovechkin pretty much fell into his lap, but he also got Nick Backstrom, and he, I think, traded for Huey when he was there. Mike Knuble. There were a few other deals that they just tried to boost their roster up to make a further push in the playoffs rather than fully take their team over the top.
So he wasn't bad.
No. By all means, he wasn't bad, but there was not a lot of good drafting either.
Within those eras?
I feel like they kind of were set back defensively, the Capitals, by the way he drafted and some of the coaches he chose. Glenn Hanlon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think they're going to be on a rough start, but I think that money-wise, it's a really good situation for the Golden Knights.
Oh, yeah. And then this also brings me to my next topic, or next question within the topic. Who do you think will be the next city to get an expansion club?
I mean, we know Quebec really, was hoping for it, and they're really disappointed that they didn't get it as the 31st expansion team. I would say most of all, it really should be Quebec.
Okay, I think Quebec, they've always made a push whenever there's been talk of expansion, of making a team, ever since the Nordiques left and became the Colorado Avalanche. But I've also heard Seattle, and I've seen those concept rink creations that they've had, where they're also trying to make it a basketball stadium in lieu of getting another basketball team, where they used to have the Supersonics. So either city is viable, in my opinion, because you have a city that's, in a northern
area
location. So it's obviously colder, and hockey is more of a cultural and climatal. Is that even a word? Climatical game?
We'll go with it.
We like to make some stuff up here, including vocabulary.
But I'll tell you what, though, I I do like your points when it comes down to it, because Seattle, it's not like a real bad sports city at all. Like a lot of them,
Oh,
they
heck no.
they know their stuff, they like it, and with bad climate, you go to those games. If your team, especially when your team's good, versus the warm areas. But yeah, I mean, I definitely see your point, and I would like Seattle also though.
Yeah. I mean, either city would be fine with me, but it's going to stink for the loser no matter what.
Oh yeah, especially for Quebec, I think.
So you really think Seattle now is going to get it?
No, I'm just saying I think that it'd be really disappointing if Quebec didn't get it versus Seattle.
Yeah. They had a team leave, and then to have that prospect of getting a team again and then get burned by the league again.
Yeah. I mean, that's Seattle for you, I guess.
And I guess I wouldn't mind seeing, the old Quebec-Montreal rivalry pop back up.
Definitely not. I mean, that'd be great for Saturday night in Canada.
Oh, yeah. And even that Wednesday night hockey that they do up in Canada on Sportsnet.
Yeah, when Winnipeg was an expansion team, when they got back, their support was right there no matter what. It was great.
Oh, yeah. And the Jets have needed it, and deservedly so. Yes. And with that, we're going to start our game recaps from the week. I got a ton of game recaps here, Chad, and I know you do too, mainly from December 1st.
December 1st, yes.
Thursday, we broke the month with a slew of games.
Third month of hockey.
Yep. So we're going to start with the Rangers at Buffalo. Anders Nilsson was in net again for the Sabres instead of Robin Lehner.
You were saying he was playing really well?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Buffalo ended up winning 4-3. It was Jack Eichel's second game back and his first at Buffalo since his injury.
Yeah, he put up 2 goals and...
Oh, yeah, he had 2 goals in the third period. One went right off of Zuccarello. But Lundqvist, was way out of position. If you saw the replay, he tried to stack the pads and take out as much as he could and make himself look big, but ultimately he put himself out of position.
Ended up in the splits.
Oh yeah, it didn't look good at all. And he's had Jack Eichel has had 4 points in the last 2 games since returning from his injury. But yeah, Anders Nilsson, he's a bigger goalie than Robin Lehner. I would say maybe about an inch and 10, 15 pounds. But the biggest part is that inch, because it looks like he gains it in his legs. And that's where a goalie gets most of the gear sized from nowadays, is the legs. And not only that, he looks a little bit more fluid than Robin Lehner. Robin Lehner looks like... I would say maybe a goaltender from the 70s, a little bit.
So?
A little, not, his footwork isn't the greatest, but he'll do whatever he can to try and stop the puck. And that'll also result in a terrible goals against average, but I do like seeing how Buffalo responds when they have Nilsson in net. They seem much more receptive defensively.
And your goalie, depending on your goalie, is depending how you play. I mean, if...
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna take your word on it. You're the goalie guy.
We also had Rick Nash get a power play goal in this game off a Jimmy Vesey tip. The Rangers were 2 for 2 on the power play.
Yeah, the way Rick Nash has been playing, I mean, I've heard rumors that in the locker room that no one's really a big fan of him. He's kind of like a one all about me type of player. But this year, he's definitely, been obviously putting up the goals, and that's required. Hopefully he's able to put it up in the postseason like he is right now.
Yeah, not only has he been putting up the goals, he's been coming up defensively well for the Rangers. It's most nights where he is the best player, and that's who they are relying on him to be.
Yeah, I mean, we've been waiting for that for a long time when he was even at Columbus for him to be the two-way guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Vignotti's definitely getting the most out of him.
So another game that I was watching pretty closely was Carolina at Boston, and Boston ended up winning this game in the shootout by a final score of 2-1.
Really good game. But, I mean, I with Terry Vine kicking the puck in the net, too, and, it's Carolina bloopers.
Yep, that's all very true. Yeah, because Boston came from behind to push this game into the shootout and then win it.
Right.
Carolina, their only goal was by Noah Hannafin on the power play. And this is going to be a recurring theme throughout the night. There are a lot of power play goals. And the starting goalies to note for this game was Cam Ward versus Anton Hudobin for the Bruins. And Hudobin, this was the first Boston backup to win a game in 24 appearances for the Bruins.
Says a lot about Tuukka Rask.
Yep, that they really do rely upon Tuukka. And we're going to go a little north of the border here. Ottawa was hosting Philadelphia. And Philadelphia, ended up pushing us into overtime and winning the game.
Yeah, they come back from 2-0 in the game and then ended up getting those 3 goals on Mike Cadone. I mean, they were all 3 really good goals. Second one was a great screen.
Oh, yeah. Giroux and Bellemare scored a minute apart, I think, for 3:10 and 2:10 remaining in the second period. And then Voracek, he completely deked out Ottawa in overtime and just went right in front of Condon and passed it right back to Giroux for,
put the biscuit in the basket.
Yeah, a sweet spot, Yeah. He got, put it on a platter, and Giroux ended up with 2 goals. Voracek had 2 assists. This was Philly's season high 3rd straight win. And Ottawa had this. They were up 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, you had Michael Hoffman doing his thing, and he, roofed a goal from his spot, and
also on the power play.
Yeah, I mean, they just fell apart, and Philadelphia, they come right at you. I mean, their speed and how they play, they're not the old Flyers, but they're the faster Flyers, and this game they showed up like that.
Yeah, those were still pretty gritty goals.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to go back down to a different capital, this time the American capital in Washington, where the Islanders win 3-0 over the Washington Capitals.
They've been hot lately, the Islanders.
Yeah, the Islanders were riding Halak Ness Monster, Yaroslav Halak in net, and then for the Capitals, it was Braden Holtby. I saw during the replays of this game that Justin Williams, air quotes, scored a goal with 0.1 second. It seemed like, but when you saw the replay that they played, the clock clearly showed zeros across the board when the puck was about to cross the goal line, and you needed to have it over the goal line.
It was the right
when
call.
There's still, a tenth of a second on the clock. So yeah, just as you said, it was the right call, Chad. All the goals, it was a shutout win for the Halak Ness Monster. It was his 40th of his career, first of the season. It was 38 shots, so 38 save shutout. He played his butt off, man.
Yeah, I mean, you're a big fan of Halak.
Yeah, it's been nice seeing him, getting another opportunity after, those wonderful years he had in Montreal. It seemed like he, had some lost years in St. Louis and Washington.
Yeah, it's been one of those up and down type of careers, but yeah, I mean, I noticed that you've always been the guy to root for him, and he's great. I mean, he's a good goaltender when he's consistent.
Now we have another game, excuse me, that I paid a lot of attention to, mainly because it was my Colorado Avalanche playing.
Yeah, I'm on the Blue Jackets bandwagon.
So that helped out a little bit.
Yeah.
But Columbus ended up pulling it out 3-2 in regulation, which I hated to see, to be honest. I would have liked to at least see the Avalanche get a point out of it.
Yeah, it was one of those things that are expected. You know, I mean, Blue Jackets have been playing really good, and you know, Colorado's got all the skill in the world. They just, you know, they just fall apart throughout the games.
Yeah, I mean, it was Russian versus Russian, Varlamov versus Bobrovsky for Colorado and Columbus, respectively. And Saad scored on a rebound off a Scott Hartnell shot. Varley couldn't see it, and it was Saad's 7th of the year. Foligno then got a goal before the period was up by Saad and was assisted by Saad, a nice backdoor feed. But then Colorado started to mount a little bit of a comeback. Blake Como scored, and then, you know, a feel-good story of the night, I thought, for Thursday was Samuel Henley. He scored his first career NHL goal in his first career NHL game for the Avalanche.
Mm-hmm.
His father was physically unable to make the game. He was suffering from cancer right now. But his mom and his sister and brother were all able to make the game. They actually drove down from Val d'Or, Quebec, which is a few hours north of Montreal. But to drive all the way, you know, to the can, to the Pepsi Center, as they say, you know, that's an awesome thing to see your son play, and then to see him get a goal.
It's a long trip.
So congratulate Sam Henley, your first NHL goal, but it came in a loss. Boone Jenner ultimately had the game winner for Columbus, and I never knew that he was an associate captain until this game. You know, until I saw him with the A on his jersey.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's a rough type of player, and you know, the Blue Jackets definitely follow that. He's been there before when the team was bad. He was there in the down times, and yeah, I really like that guy personally. He's a good player.
Yeah, he's gritty. I mean, Cam Atkinson stole the puck from the Avs and just shot it right over to Boone, who put it right in. Colorado then, you know, tried to mount another comeback, and they had a goal, but it ended up being disallowed by a high stick by Mitchell, who was in another milestone game of his own. While someone was playing in there first, someone was playing, I think Johnny Mitchell was playing his 100th or 200th NHL game. So congratulations to him too. And the Blue Jackets didn't have a power play goal.
That's surprising when you have Nick Foligno, Seb Gagner, and Cam Atkinson as your first power play unit. Then you got Hartnell, who's been a proven power play unit, you know, power play unit player.
And presence in front of the net.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
But the Blue Jackets outshot the Avalanche 37-20. And Columbus still lost 26% of the faceoffs. So it's kind of a crazy game when you think about it. And this all happened in regulation. It was very, very interesting.
What would you say is the best game of Thursday night?
Well, I would say maybe we might not have gotten to it yet. Might have to make my call at the end of the day. But right now we're going to go over to Dallas and Pittsburgh, where Dallas was in Pittsburgh, lost 6-2. Pittsburgh's now 7-0 when following a regulation loss this season.
Oh, wow.
That's a heck of a stat. I mean,
really is.
Dallas, you know, they tied it up in the first period on a double deflection off of Stephen Jones' shot. First, Stephen Johns shot the puck, went off Patrick Eaves, and then went off of Devin Shore's skating in. And then we were talking earlier today about the Tyler Seguin.
The rifle shot.
Oh, man. Right when you have your skates right on the goal line, and he just clanked it right off of Fleury for a one-timer in.
Yeah, how low can you go? And Tyler Seguin, no one's going to be able to score from there.
It was a rocket shot, too. Fleury thought he might have had it trapped on his back, but it went off his back and in. And then Pittsburgh had 3 straight goals in a minute 30, and that pretty much sealed the deal right there for the Stars.
Yeah, Niemi he didn't know what to do or what he was doing wrong. You could just see it.
Yeah, there was a couple plays where Niemi, would get up and the butterfly go down. Just he looked lost.
The Patrick Hornquist goal, he went down like 3 times. Up, nope, up, nope, and then he goes up again, and then he just like sneaks it right past him.
Yep. But Fleury was in net for the win. Crosby got a goal and assist. Niemi made 34 saves on 39 shots, but he, didn't look too good.
He didn't look too good. Dallas doesn't look too good, but
and that's surprising considering. Well, I guess a lot of things have been surprising at the quarter pole mark of this season so far.
Definitely.
But it has been surprising to see Dallas not come out with the start that many had anticipated.
We all thought
including ourselves.
Yeah, we all thought it, and that's because they're plagued by injuries right now, and they're key players.
Oh yeah.
And Hemsky, I believe Seguin was out for a while. Even Spezza, Sharp, those guys were all hurt. Cody Eakin, he's a key role player.
Yeah, now that I look back at the lineups, I don't see Sharp. But we're also going to go back over to Michigan. Florida was in Detroit. Florida get the win in overtime. It was Tim Rowe, his first ever win in the NHL for the Panthers. He replaced Gerard Gallant recently.
Real disappointing that he got fired.
Yeah, we're still a little perplexed by the firing, but good to see Florida get back on track. It was Luongo in net versus Peter Mrazek. Luongo had 20 saves, Mrazek had 28. Zetterberg, had a nice top corner backhand from the slot in the first period, and Demers countered with his own bar down shot off a face-off win in Detroit's end, both in the first period. And then it was pretty much a stalemate until overtime. Luongo sprawled out to make a huge save on Zetterberg. If Luongo didn't lay it all out there, Detroit won.
Yeah, I mean, Luongo is definitely one of those guys that in any team, he's a star player, star goalie everywhere he goes.
Oh, for sure. Islanders, Florida, up to Vancouver, back to Florida, and Florida ended up winning. Like I said, Alexander Barkov scored on a breakaway against Mrazek. He just flew right up the middle and into the slot and just buried it. And here is another surprising stat. No power play goals in this game.
How many power plays were there?
There were 10. 6 for Florida, 4 for Detroit. I mean, it's not like anybody didn't have their chances.
It's not like, with their 2 power play unit or the 4 power play units total, none of them, they all should have had some kind of goal.
Yeah. But it was a pretty good defensively played game. And so we're going to go from a defensive stalwart game to a barn burner of a game. Tampa was in St. Louis, and St. Louis held on to win barely 5-4. The starters for this game, Andrei Vasilevsky and Jake Allen. Vasilevsky led in 4 goals on 16 shots and was replaced by Ben Bishop.
Yeah, it was like you said earlier, somebody had to win this game. I mean, the shots were dead even, and it was just, one more goal, and somebody had to lose it.
Oh yeah, and this was a big power play game. Tarasenko started off the scoring for St. Louis and scored 2 goals right off the bat. Tampa got 1, and then Shattenkirk scored his first of 2 power play goals at the end of the first there, and then opened up the second period with another power play goal. I mean,
him and Tarasenko are definitely on a hot streak so far.
Oh, yeah. And Tarasenko got his 3rd hat trick of the year. Tampa just couldn't force overtime, and Jake Allen ended up getting the 7th straight win. Excuse me. That was a tongue twister right there.
Well, one thing I wanted to add with, Tampa Bay is missing their captain, Steven Stamkos. They have the talent all around, and they're losing real close games.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Cedric Paquette stepped up for them this game. They needed a guy to step up, and he gets his second and third goals of the year. But St. Louis just made him pay on the power play. It was going 3 for 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we've had some games where there's been plenty of power plays, but there's also been some where there's been no goals, whereas like in the Detroit game.
It's a lot harder to score goals. They really, these defenses, are, like we've said in the past, these defensemen are so fast. They close up the lanes real fast. Snap of a finger fast.
Yeah, and everyone's taught to block a shot. And now we're going to head over to what you think was the game of the night, Edmonton at Winnipeg.
Yeah, I really watched that one closely, and I was really flipping back between the Edmonton-Winnipeg game and also the Pittsburgh and Dallas game, watching Crosby and Connor McDavid, the two Hart Trophy, they're racing back and forth for it. And, watching those two players is phenomenal. While watching the Edmonton and Winnipeg game, the guy in the power play, he sets up everything, and, every single – I'm pretty sure 4 out of 6 out of those goals, Connor McDavid was involved into it.
McDavid had 3 assists.
3 assists. Yeah, he's involved in even when these guys, him and Crosby, they're not getting the points and that type of recognition. They are a part of that play somewhere or another, setting it up.
Yeah, I guess looking at the stat line, I was surprised to see that McDavid didn't have a goal, but to have him be involved in the plays, I'm not surprised by that one bit.
No, he is right now, if I'm not wrong, let's see here. He's at 23 assists, 34 points this season.
Wow, he has a lot of helpers.
Yeah, Letestu put up the 2 goals in that game.
Yeah, he had 2 power play goals, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Winnipeg definitely got gritty with them, and Edmonton used their speed.
Another guy that also had 2 power play goals, Patrick Laine, who's second behind Crosby in goals right now with his 14th and 15th of the year.
Yeah.
Nobody could penalty kill in that game, it seemed like. Winnipeg went 2 for 4 and Edmonton went 3 for 4.
Well, I believe after 2 hard block shots, 2 guys, I can't recall the names, but they both ended up going to the locker room after that. Pretty sure that they just let him go through.
Yeah, well, it was several players, 3 in fact. Patrick Laine of Winnipeg, and then Mark Letestu and Leon Draisaitl of Edmonton. All 3 players had multi-goal games.
And they're going to continue that because those are the type of players that they are. They're very good at, and they have a really good nose for the net.
Yeah, I can see Letestu going on, a bit of a cold streak now after this performance. But, he came through when Edmonton needed somebody to come through. And that's ultimately, you need somebody to finish, and he was the man there. 2 power play goals. That's a finisher right there.
You're right on, Phil.
But Connor Hellebuyck, 6 goals against on 29 shots. It looks like Winnipeg might be going with him down the stretch here.
Yeah.
For these next 20 games, in this second. Now we're in the end of the second half of the first half of the season. So we're now in the second quarter pole of the season, so the second 20 games. So we're going to see how all these teams add up. But it looks like the Jets, have been riding Hellebuyck now for the past few games.
Yeah, Winnipeg, they do everything right every single game. It's just, it's literally like a slight hole for a mouse to get through. They just let that like an inch off, and then simple goals go in. But Patrick Maroon also fought Thornburg in that game. He played really well, and he was a big contributor to that win. And he ended up with his hard effort, he had one of those goals that ended up going through.
And then we're gonna go to the Windy City. The Hawks ended up pulling it out in overtime, 4-3 against the Devils. It was a goaltending matchup, I thought. Corey Schneider and Corey Crawford.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even with the 4-5 win, those were all those goals were all given up by their defense.
Yeah, and then Excuse me. I had something stuck in my throat there. Now, something I noticed was the Hawks had a goal disallowed in the game on a goaltender interference play with Corey Schneider. Now, I really, even as a goalie, I couldn't find anything goaltender interference like with that play. It would have put Chicago ahead 4-2 in the third, and instead, it keeps the game 3-2, and New Jersey sends it to overtime, and then New Jersey nearly wins it. It looks like a Travis Zajac shot hits the post, and lo and behold, Hossa just rags the puck all the way back to New Jersey's end and just pots it home for the winner.
Yeah, that was their second meeting, and the first game it was as you put it was identical. They were the same games. New Jersey had them.
Really?
Yeah, and Chicago ended up just getting right through them. And with the absence of Taves and how Chicago's been playing, to be able to pull off those games, it says a lot.
Huh. Well, that's pretty interesting that they were similar games because that was very entertaining. So, I mean,
oh yeah,
this would maybe be a dark horse matchup in the Stanley Cup Finals, in my opinion. If these two teams were to continue playing the way they did against each other in the finals, I could see it being fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I'm gonna jot that down in my notes. That's something to really actually look forward to.
You heard it here first, at On the Blue Line.
Yeah.
So we have two more games to recap for Thursday, December 1st. In our second to last, this one I kind of found interesting. Los Angeles at Arizona. Now the Kings came from behind to win it 4-3. Big note was Peter Budaj was the starter for LA, and he let up two not so hot goals in the first period on 6 shots, and it ended up getting pulled. Both were goals by Martin Hanzal, and both on the power play by Arizona, who went 2 for 2 on the power play in the first period. So another instance where the power play just, puts a team in the hole or puts the team way out front ahead early.
Yeah, Coyotes are one of those teams that when you shoot the puck, they're not really looking for rebounds. They have, I believe, for shots on goal, they're like number 1 in the NHL. That was as of last week. But, besides that, they are the type of team that, they really like to organize their offense, get the pretty passes, and shoot it once and hope it goes in.
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of shots on net, and the first one was a Hanzal tip right over the blocker of Budaj. Then the second one was just a nice shot over the paddle, and then Zakov came in to replace Peter Budaj, and Jordan Nolan got his first goal in 67 games. It was his first goal in nearly 20 months, Chad.
Oh, that's...
And not only that, he scored again in the third period by firing a puck off Mike Smith.
Right.
And then that would tie the score at 3. And Trevor Lewis would put the Kings in front with 4 minutes remaining. And that's all they wrote.
Yeah, I mean, with the Kings in their goalie situation, I can't wait. With how well they're holding up and how they're still they're in the playoff race. They're doing really well. They're getting their hot streaks, and when Quick comes back, they're gonna be scary.
Oh yeah, I mean that's really, I think what they've been holding out for right now is for Quick to come back. But that's also been their downfall within this the first 20 games. They lost a few games. Mainly feeling sorry for themselves.
Yeah.
It seemed like.
Yeah, their slow start, and now they, Daryl Suter's not gonna quit. The guy is good.
No.
He's a winner.
Yeah, he's gonna keep on trucking. And now our final game of the evening on December 1st was Vancouver at Anaheim, and John Gibson finally got a win, 3-1 over Vancouver.
Yeah, it's good to see. With Anaheim how young they are, and I mean they do have talents, but it's just not all coming together right away. They are doing well, but at the same time,
Yeah, they got it seems like a mixture between old and new, but it
yeah,
too wide of a mixture or too large of a gap.
I agree.
Generational gap, maybe. I don't know I don't know. Maybe that's ageism.
Right.
But Andre Cachet got his first NHL goal off a Miller's back for the Ducks. So congratulations to him as well. A couple of firsts here on December 1st. And then last night, man, we had some good matchups. Now, there were only 2 games, but these matchups were really good.
Oh, yeah, and they were all 1-goal games.
First was Minnesota at Calgary. Devin Dubnyk versus Chad Johnson, and this was a goaltending matchup.
Yeah, and those are the best games to watch. Actually, when you think about it, Montreal and San Jose, those are also the hot goalie matchups.
Oh, yeah, you have Carey Price and Martin Jones, but right now, Minnesota, they struck first with a Chris Stewart goal, but then Calgary got the next 2 from Versteeg and Backlund. There was nothing in the second, but then Koivu tied it up. Miku Koivu, that is, tied it up with 8 minutes into the third period. And Minnesota killed off a huge penalty in overtime, I saw. And after a night where power plays pretty much sealed the deal for many teams, the penalty killers really came out on top in both games.
Yeah, we definitely expected 2 defensive matchups.
Yeah, because, Calgary ended up winning by a score of 3-2 in the shootout. Dubnyk, for the good game that he had, he didn't have a good shootout.
No, and Chad Johnson did.
Yeah, and, that's also what it comes down to these days in the NHL. Look at UC Jokinen. He made a career out of scoring goals just for the shootout. And sometimes you need to have a goalie that, is super prepared like that. We can go back a couple podcasts and talk about Corey Schneider when he had an iPad. He was looking at guys' moves.
Yeah, definitely. The shootout is so important. It's better to obviously always get the 2 points than the 1 point, and it's a whole nother strategy, a whole nother part of the game, and it's really hard to execute. It's hard to be prepared for that.
Oh yeah, and so then our other great goaltending matchup for the evening, Montreal at San Jose. San Jose would hang on to win this game 2-1. Like we said, it was Carey Price versus Martin Jones. We had a blast from the past. Brent Burns, on a little sauce from Pavelski.
It was a beautiful pass. Like, if that stick was, if he didn't pass it where he did, that guy on the penalty kill, I don't know the name, but if that, if he passes stick length, if he was lazy on that pass.
Yeah, the Montreal guy would have been gone.
Gone.
And then Martin Jones, I saw, used the 2-pad stack and ended up catching Galchenyuk's scoring chance in that first period, and that pretty much gave a lot of momentum to San Jose for that first period, because at the end of the period, with 57 seconds remaining, Pavelski scored on a backdoor goal from Jumbo Joe Thornton.
Yeah, that was another really nice pass to get through Carey Price, and that's what it took, is a lot of those pretty passes.
Yeah, that's really all it took for San Jose, because they ended up to win, like I said, 2-1. Montreal would, they would make it close by pulling Price to make it a 6-on-4 power play, and another guy, rookie Arturi Lehkonen, scores for Montreal. So we've seen a lot of young players also score for these teams lately.
Yeah, a lot of them are stepping up. I tell you what, it's really good to be able to see that. I hope my Blackhawks, with Jonathan Toews out, I really hope that they're able to, be able to, I hope their youth spreads, and I hope that they're able to contribute. because it's really important when the young guys are scoring.
Yeah, that's true. The last time I just wanted to make this last note about our recaps. The last time Montreal won in San Jose, Chad, Saku Koivu, brother of Miku Koivu for the Wild, Saku Koivu was in his first year as captain for the Canadiens. Now, what
That's
year
a
was
big
that?
stat. What year was that?
Yeah, what year is that?
I'm gonna make a bad guess. I'm gonna say 1999.
Oh, and we have a winner.
Oh, you told me.
Yeah, it was the 1999-2000 season, so it could have even been the year 2000, but that was the first year that Saku Koivu was the captain for the Canadiens.
That was a long time.
And so now that's the end of our game recaps, and now we got a couple listener questions we're going to get to before we get to the previews.
All right.
So our first question, we got two questions in from our listeners. Both came from Anthony Fierce 21 on Twitter. Our first question was, who will win the Metropolitan Division? And we each had a separate take on this.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I had the Rangers winning the Metropolitan Division.
Now, why is that?
Now, I know that's, a little bit of an easy choice since they're already in first place with a 2-3 point lead over, I believe it's Pittsburgh who's in second.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they also have the largest goal differential in the league. They have the most goals for in the league. They have the most goals for per game in the league, and they are doing that by a wide margin alone. The next closest team for goals for per game by a team is Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean it.
With 3.08 goals a game, and to outscore your opponent, any opponent that is in the NHL by half a goal, that's big.
The difference between the Rangers and the Flyers is the Rangers are doing that, and they're doing that in more games.
Yes, that's also true. I mean, it helps when you've had a player, you add a guy like Jimmy Vesey, a young gun right into the lineup, straight out of college. He had some time to develop and, see what the NHL scene was like, by turning down Nashville's offer. And I believe that all their chemistry has been together better overall with him coming over. It's made it easier, in a way for Lundqvist, I believe, by having Vesey there. He took a little bit of a public media storm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He weathered a storm, and Lundqvist, kind of was able to do his thing.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And, the Rangers have a lot of good forwards. They have, I could see why you're picking the New York Rangers because they have so much of a scoring threat to every team. And, they have really good defensemen, too. I just, with the goalie situation the way it is, I think that could be their downfall. But the Rangers are a good choice also.
All right, and so who did you think was going to win the Metropolitan Division?
I think Pittsburgh, and I say Pittsburgh, and I think it's a really easy choice. I think with, I know I go on, I talk about McDavid and Crosby, but Crosby needs McDavid right now because Crosby has elevated his play when you couldn't think that he can elevate it any further. And they have 10 forwards on their team that anywhere they go, you have, that they could be on a top forward line or a top 2 forward line. The defensemen, same thing, and then you have two goalies, who won Stanley Cup winners individually. Mark Fuller did it in 2009, and Matt Murray did it as of last year. And I know that they're trying to get rid of Fleury and trying to get trade bait, but I feel like even though that is also going on, that they have something up their sleeve, and I feel like they're definitely the best overall team, maybe besides the Blues. And all these teams have their flaws, but I definitely think that Pittsburgh is definitely, after the slow start, they're definitely catching up and they're going to win it.
Well, that's definitely certainly an interesting take. And then our second question from Anthony Fierce 21 was, what do the Capitals need to do in order to make it past the Eastern Conference Final this year?
You want to take that one first?
I took this. I took the first question last time.
Okay. Well, pressure's on me. Well, I'm gonna say they need to change the captaincy. I mean, I think they need to change the captaincy. And Ovechkin, I think he's all about Ovechkin. I mean, he's a great player, great goal scorer, exciting player to see on the ice. But last year they got rid of Jason Chimera, and I think that he could have been. They probably should have named him captain instead of getting rid of him.
Yeah, he was a gritty player for them. I liked seeing Jason Chimera in a Caps uniform.
Yeah, I mean they tried working on grip versus offense, but hey, now they're back to offense, and what they need to do, they need to add to grit, and they need to change the captaincy.
Well, I'm gonna agree with you. I think that they do need to be grittier. I'm not necessarily sure they need to get rid of the Ovechkin being the captain. He.
Mm-hmm.
Some players lead by example, some don't. Sometimes, he leads when he has to by example, and I think that's been the case for him. But I think Washington really does need to do is be mindful of their play defensively. They still take weird risks, offensively, when they don't really have to.
Yeah, a lot of their defensive, they're offensive defensemen, no doubt, but they pinch a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for keeping the puck in the zone, but take some more calculated moves, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they got to know when not to pinch, because it is a defensive game, and you don't need to score 3 goals in the first period all the time.
That's true. I mean, unless you're playing the Rangers.
Unless you're playing the Rangers, is right.
And thank you, Anthony Fierce21 on Twitter for giving us some questions. And we take
Thanks, man.
any questions that our listeners and followers have. Now let's preview a couple games for Monday and Tuesday this week. A game I like this week actually is going to be Sunday, December 4th, Winnipeg at Chicago. That's a 6 Eastern time start. I think Winnipeg could, potentially give Chicago a run for their money here. I think Matt Hutchinson starts over Connor Hellebuck against the Hawks.
Oh boy, that's gonna be trouble since he's the righty.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. Well, it's the third meeting, and Winnipeg's got 1, Chicago's got 1. It's really hard to say, and they're both high-scoring games. I mean, it's one of those games that you should definitely tune into, and you're right on, Phil.
And then another game I had kind of circled on my calendar was for Tuesday, December 6th. Not only am I an Avalanche fan, but seeing them play in Nashville, this kind of has implications for the division.
Definitely, yeah. It's definitely a fight. I think Predators take it. The Avalanche, it's going to be skill versus grit.
Oh, yeah. Of course. And you know what? I think both teams are pretty gritty. Both the Predators and Avalanche.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether the skilled players for the Avalanche can show up or not, that's going to be the big kicker in this game.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think it's a very well played matchup.
What is it? Varlamov versus Pecorino?
I think so.
Yeah.
But now, what are a couple of games you have on your slate?
I'm looking through right now. You picked some really good ones. So, as I'm looking through,
You want to go with Ottawa at Pittsburgh on Monday?
yeah, I just had my finger on that one actually.
I
Yeah.
read your mind, man. I didn't even see your finger.
Oh man, yeah, we definitely got that chemistry, Phil. Ottawa and Pittsburgh, I would say with Pittsburgh, I think that they're gonna win the division. Ottawa, it's definitely I've never really seen them dump the puck. It's definitely gonna be who can possess the puck. There's gonna be a lot of offensive scoring chances, but they not all of them capitalize. It's gonna be a great game.
Yeah, and I think Matt Murray makes an appearance for the Penguins here, and I think Crosby will net a few goals against Andrew Hammond in that. I still don't think Anderson's back from personal absence.
He took a second one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's either him or Mike Condon, and they have to be really good goals to get past Mike Condon. I don't think he's playing bad, but
No, neither goalie. Well, none of the goalies that Ottawa has put out this season has played terrible. I think it's just been the team play that's kind of let them down.
Yeah.
So overall, as a squad, and play. I mean,
yeah,
they just gotta stick together and keep trucking. And I know somebody's gonna knock off Pittsburgh again, like the Islanders did last week.
Yeah, no doubt. They're a team that can, they're going hot streaks and they will go on cold streaks. But overall, they're resilient, just like the Islanders.
And do you got one more game, or do you want me to pick one more game?
I'd say, I'm gonna point out Montreal and Los Angeles.
Oh. Now, what date is that, Chad?
It's December 4th at 10:30.
Okay, so you think Al Montoya might be in net for Montreal after, the last time they had him in net, they left him in for, 10 or 11 goals against the Blue Jackets?
Yeah, I think that with that going on, Al Montoya, just like I myself, when I pulled up the app, the NHL app, and I looked up 10-0. I immediately listened to it on the radio, like, is this real? Is this going on? Like, it was just awesome. I don't think that, that's going to happen to Al Montoya again, and I think it's smart to build I think that you're right. It's smart to be able to have him against Los Angeles since they don't have the best goalie matchup.
Yeah, I think, that's a good game to give Carey Price off, and I do think that Budaj, is going to be riding the pine this game. Looks like Jeff Zakoff might be in that, in my opinion, again, for the Los Angeles Kings. He's played good all year. I just don't know why sometimes that Daryl Sutter won't stick with him. Maybe because he's young, but Daryl Sutter's an old guy.
Yeah, maybe.
He's got his quirks.
Yeah. I also think with Montreal and Los Angeles game, I think Los Angeles wins because Montreal has been scoring too late, and they're scoring late in the third period, just getting those one goals, and it's like first and second period they're just falling apart. Los Angeles will definitely get the leads, and it's going to be one of those games that I'd like to see Los Angeles just dominate.
Yeah, hopefully the Kings can put together a little streak here, and put themselves back into place. But
Definitely.
We're going to take ourselves out. This for Phil Bernardi and my partner, Chan Van Dersen. Thank you again for tuning in on the Blue Line. We have some social media accounts up. We're on Twitter at Blue Line Podcast. You can email us at ontheblueline0@gmail.com. We're also on Instagram at on the Blue Line Pod. And we're also on Facebook at facebook.com/ontheblueline.
Yeah, ask us questions, definitely. Those two questions that we just had, I really look forward to answering more.
Yeah, and we'll even get back to you in real time, too.
Yeah.
So thank you again, everyone, for On the Blue Line. Signing off. Have a great weekend and enjoy your hockey.